And this is the new thing. Climbing Everest now, it's cool, but it's not as cool as climbing 14,000-meter peaks. People now wanna climb Everest without oxygen. They wanna do it in more difficult or faster ways, but that can have dire consequences for your own life, but also for the life of the Sherpas on your expedition. And that's where things get ethically really, really murky. And I feel like I'm seeing more of that in the industry now, Billy. Do you agree? Or am I being hyperbolic here?
No, do I agree that sorry, what don't I do I agree
People
with?
I think that people with less experience are trying to claim more and more dangerous records, like summiting without oxygen.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is putting their own lives at risk, but more in terms of an ethical issue or a respect issue, it's putting the lives of the people that are supporting them at risk.
Mm,
And so there was a case in 2024 where a Kenyan climber who had climbed Manaslu without oxygen before. Manaslu is the 8th highest peak. Everest is the first highest peak. And he went to do an oxygen-free ascent of Everest. As he was going up, when you're climbing without oxygen, your brain doesn't work. You're not making rational decisions and rational judgments. I'll summarize this case. It's a really interesting story and a really tragic story, but basically, as he climbed and as he was approaching the summit, he became unable to walk. He was incoherent. He was belligerent. And his Sherpa, who was carrying emergency oxygen with him to save his life, was unable to administer that oxygen. There was an altercation of some sort, and the Sherpa's body has never been found. And
mm,
that man's body is still on the path to the summit of Everest. And so he was in pursuit of this record. And I don't want to make a judgment as to whether or not he was prepared, but there's this issue where when you're pushing yourself in the death zone, be it to wear a sari on the summit, be it to play a bass trombone, or be it to climb it without oxygen, to be the first person from your country to climb without oxygen, the consequences of that hubris can be massive. Are you
mm.
seeing more of that, Billy? Like, do you agree with me that that's sort of
Okay,
more common or not?
okay, first for Claudia to put it into perspective.
Yes,
Climbing
please.
Everest with or without oxygen, and I think that's a very, very important point. It's like, chalk and cheese. Climbing Everest without oxygen, I don't think even 200 people have done so out of the 7,800 people
Wow, so only 200, so 200 people have ever climbed Everest without oxygen,
without supplemental oxygen.
and that's fascinating.
It's like, not chalk and cheese, it's like comparing apples and oranges. So if you imagine when you use oxygen, 8,848 meters of altitude with oxygen come down to about 6.5. So it makes a huge difference. Now, the mountains below 8,400, 8,200 meters, so, the 8,000 meter peaks that are lower have traditionally always or mainly been climbed without oxygen, but only over the last 10 to 15 years because of the commercialization people climb them more and more with oxygen. So just to put it into perspective, now climbing Everest without, so I've climbed 3 8,000 meter peaks without supplemental oxygen and 3 with. I climbed the 6th highest without supplemental oxygen. And I would never, ever, ever think that I could climb Mount Everest without oxygen because the 8,200 meters where I was at and the 8,848 meters Everest, it's like light years away. Now, this Kenyan climber climbed Manaslu at 8,167 meters without oxygen. You have to think that the last camp he would have slept on is way below 8,000 meters. It's 7,400 meters. Whereas Everest, the last camp he sleeps on is 8,000 meters. That's the so-called, even though I hate this word, it's the death zone. Now, he would already lose a lot of strength on those 8,000 meters. Whereas on Manaslu, 7,800, of course, it's tough, but it's different. And at the end of the day, and now here I go again, it's the respect. So he thought,
Mhm.
oh, I climbed Manaslu, I can climb Everest. Now, he was unfortunate to have a Sherpa who was probably quite experienced himself, because
It
that's the other, yeah?
it was the Sherpa's first time to the summit.